That should be the one.
Is it rolling yet?
We're logging in right now, redirecting.
Okay, we're live.
All right, we're good to go. I would like to call the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission meeting to order. Today is February 26, 2024, and we're about 20 minutes past 1 o'clock. Before we get started, I'd like to go ahead and have staff do a roll call with all the commissioners.
Acting Chair Mataafa,
Here.
Commissioner Chang,
Hi, here.
Commissioner Evans is excused. Commissioner Pang is excused. Commissioner Piscaya,
Hi, aloha.
aloha. Commissioner Saito,
Aloha.
aloha. Commissioner Souza.
Yo.
All right, thank you, staff. So we have 2 commissioners excused. I'd like to go to the second part of the agenda today. We do have 2 new faces to the commission, so I'd like to start with Commissioner Saito and Commissioner Souza. If you could just give a brief, maybe 1 to 2 minute introduction to who you are, just to get familiar with the commission, and so that everybody else on the commission can know who you are and we can all be friends. So, Commissioner Saito, would you mind introducing yourself?
Aloha mai kako. My name is Faith Kahale Saito. Feel free to call me Faith or Kahale. Most of the PKO folks know me as Kahale. I've been involved with the PKO since opening Makahiki 2002. I served as the Cultural Resources Project Coordinator for the KIRC from 2009 till 2012, and left that position to come back home to Oahu, and I'm currently at Honolulu Community College as the Native Hawaiian counselor and been there since then.
Thank you, and welcome on board.
Hello.
I believe Commissioner Souza is in person. Aloha, would you like to introduce yourself and give us a little background information on you?
Sure. Aloha mai kako. My name is Keone Souza, trustee at large for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I've worked with some of you in different capacities, so I look forward to serving alongside you on the KIRC Commission. I've had opportunities to be on the moku of Kaho'olawe and, really get down and dirty in restoration, reforestation, I guess, if you will. I understand our mission and our goal of this commission, and so I look forward to helping to advance us in the right direction and support our executive director, Michael. And looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction and welcome on board. I want to go ahead and move on to item 3 on our agenda today, and that's the approval of minutes. So I'll recommend or entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Here, I move.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the approval of the minutes of June 26 regular commission meeting from 2023? Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Staff, could you do the roll call vote for approval?
Excuse me, Chair, do we have a second?
Oh, sorry, we don't have a second. Do we have a second?
There's fault.
I believe that was Commissioner Souza who made the second.
Oh, no.
Close
Sorry.
enough. I thought I heard him whisper. I think I heard
something like-
Second.
I heard
Yes,
something over here.
absolutely.
Sorry, I cannot hear from the
Yes.
computer. My bad.
Second. Second.
So we have
Yes.
a main motion from Commissioner, I believe,
Commissioner Chang.
Chang. We have a second from Commissioner Souza. Any discussion? Okay, staff, can you do a roll call vote?
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Piscaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
Great. It looks like the minutes have been approved and passed. The next part of the agenda is moving right into community and public comments. Staff, is there anybody in the boardroom willing to testify today?
Nobody here today, but we did receive one written testimony. It should be in your packets under item 3. It's from Marty Martins. He's one of our volunteers at the Maui Ocean Center. And he had some questions that we're going to be working on. It's mostly about our membership program and recommendations for trying to create benefits for our membership program that we have. And we're going to be working with Maui Ocean Center, see if there's some kind of thing we can work out that, you know, they get discount price for members and what the mechanism for that is for members. Because we do have a annual membership drive for donations, and they gain membership to our fundraising platform, and they get a printed copy of our annual report as part of the membership.
Okay.
And that's it. That's only outside testimony we received.
All right, thank you. With no objections, I'd like to close community and public testimony for now. Hearing no objections, we'll go ahead and close public testimony and move on to the meat of our agenda today and our action items. So we'll start with action item A, and that's reviewing the legislation related to the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission and approve the KIRC legislative positions for 2024. So I'll turn it over to Executive Director Naho'o Pi'i, and he can give us an update on where we're at with this action item.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Starting off with quick review of legislation relating to Kaho'olawe. In your packets, we have the status of bills related to Kaho'olawe. We'll start with carryover bills from 2023. We had 2 bills that were carried over. That was House Bill 571 and Senate Bill 100. Both of them asked for $400,000 in operating funds and 3 additional staff people. We did receive the $400,000 in annual funds. Those were moved over to the governor's budget bill. And the only thing remaining in these 2 bills is the request for additional people. We did make a presentation to the finance and to finance, and they said that if there's any money left over, they'll think about it. So that's where we're at for now. Bills this year related to Kaho'olawe, not too many. Our discussions with the legislators have been mostly the Maui fire has been the key funding drive for this year. So they're very appreciative that we've kind of stepped back and waited a year, and they said come back next year in the biennium. But right now, the bills that we're following is House Bill 1800, which is the state budget bill, and there are a couple companion bills associated with it. Right now, it hasn't been heard yet, so we're still waiting for that. And then there's an interesting bill, House Bill 1889, relating to state snails. And the only reason we're following it is because in the bill, they designate a snail for the island of Kaho'olawe. And talking to Paul, in the bill, they say the snail is extinct, but according to Paul, he's seen it. So we're going to go take a look at that and follow that one. That one actually has passed JHA and CAI. I forget, those are not even committees I've ever been to before, but it's passed most of the technical committees, and it's waiting for, I think it's going to cross over. There's no funding for this one, I believe. So there's no finance hearing. The last part of bills ready to KIRC is we got word next week, Monday, should be confirmation hearings. I believe it's after lunch for House General GM 584, which is your appointment. GM 585, which is for Commissioner Saito, and then GM 600, which is for Trustee Souza here. Those should be heard by Water and Land, Sanitary Noise Committee. I believe it's after lunch. It was 1 or 1 o'clock, some of that. 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been posted yet. So as soon as it's posted, I'll send an email out to all the commissioners. So, but we did send an email out to commissioners and to the sponsoring agency so that they can prepare a testimony in anticipation. Oh, 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 p.m. Prepare testimony in anticipation of the hearings. Turning over to the next page in our thing, we're looking at what our general fund requests were for 2024. We kept it simple this year. We're still seeking this, even though we didn't have any bills introduced. We're working on looking at whatever leftover funding there is, but our first request is for 4 new positions. 3 of them are in the field that we had asked for last year, which is one ocean specialist 2, which is to help with coastal restoration projects, a KIRC specialist 3 and a KIRC specialist 2, which can be either used on the boat, can be used in the field, can be used all by the multi-program. They're kind of our general work specialists, work with all the different activities in the field. And then we also were looking at funding for a project specialist 3 or 4. And we introduced that this year as a means of helping us with the money side of grants, because we knew funding was going to be tough coming up with general funds and how the recovery is going to be. And we're going to be applying for more grants. And one of the biggest things we've been noticing is trying to do all the billing and then the money coming back so that we can deposit those funds back into our accounts and getting all that money back to us. So we want to have somebody as a project specialist. And then our second request was for 4.25 million in general obligation bond funding to start the first phase of, well, this is actually the second phase of our Kihei Cultural Education Center. Phase 1 was the conceptual design and the 500,000 that was given to us by Representative Kaho'olawe at the time, and for CIP, that created the conceptual drawings, the initial planning work, did some of the background archaeological surveys. It helped with the environmental impact statement. The second phase of funding is an additional planning to renew the CZM permit, also to complete the construction design so that we have construction drawings, and then also $900,000 in construction money to expand the existing boathouse so that we can extend 2 wings and use the center boathouse as storage and a warehouse facility, and then put a new cover on the external sides of the boathouse, and also to improve the security of the area. That's technically on hold right now, and we're still floating it around to people who are interested in it. Hopefully there'll be funding at the end, but right now we put it out there that that's our goal. That's what if anybody asks us what we want, those are the 2 big things that we're asking for this year. And that's it for our legislative position and review of legislative measures relating to KIRC.
Thank you. Is there any general discussion on the first item as far as the legislation goes with the commissioners? I'll entertain discussion now. If not, I'll also entertain a motion to approve the positions as stated on the agenda.
So moved.
If there's no general discussions, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the to approve the KIRC legislative positions for the 2024 session. Do I have?
Okay,
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Pang. Do we have any discussion on any of, sorry, Chang, my bad.
They all sounded like after a while, don't worry.
Moved by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Chang. Do we have any further discussion on any of the items as presented by Executive Director? Nope. Then I'm gonna go ahead and ask staff to do roll call vote.
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Piscaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
All right, it looks like the motion passes and the legislative positions for 2024 are approved. Moving on down the agenda, the second item under action items is approving the proposed calendar year for 2024 access dates and activities for the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana. Executive Director, do you want to go ahead and give us an update on this?
Sure. Thank you. So a little background on this. We have worked in our stewardship agreement with the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana. We have made the agreement that the gist of the stewardship agreement is to extend the volunteer coverage to people who or the indemnification. What's the correct word? Not indemnification. What is the
defense? Is that
defense of for volunteers who volunteer for KIRC. So in order for it to be considered a volunteer, we agreed on a couple of items. It has to be an authorized activity. They have to be performing an authorized activity, and the activity or the trip access to the island has to be approved by the KIRC. So what you see in your handout is a table 1 is the list of activities that are under consideration for approval. They have not changed since the last couple of years. And what we do every year is we introduce the new calendar year dates for the next year. And by approving the dates, the PKL trip to the island is considered an authorized activity and an approved activity, therefore would be covered under the stewardship agreement for defense of volunteers if some accident happens in accordance with the discretion of the Deputy AG's office, correct?
correct?
Yeah, okay, correct, okay. So in table 2, you have the dates that are requesting. And if there are any changes to the dates after these approvals, there is a stipulation that the executive director can administratively approve any changes after the dates if needed, or any additions if needed.
All
That's
right,
it. Yep.
thank you. I'm going to entertain discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Chang.
So this protects a authorized, a member of PKO as part of their group in an authorized approved activity. Is that for purposes of liability if they get hurt, or if this is, they're covered? I mean, what is this liability, Dan? What is this liability, this protection for?
There's a statutory framework for providing representation for volunteers that work in state service. And I think there was just some lack of clarity about the circumstances that would arise. And there was also sort of some recognition that it's not an automatic coverage, that it's within the AG's discretion. So I think by coming up with these parameters about authorized activities and putting some constraints on the volunteer activities, I think that would really just sort of facilitate the process of the AG thinking it's appropriate to provide volunteers under those circumstances with representation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the response.
All right, any other general discussion on this item? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve proposed calendar year 2024 access dates and activities for the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana.
So move.
Second.
I believe it was moved by Commissioner Chang and seconded by Commissioner,
Saito.
moved by Commissioner Saito, sorry, Commissioner Saito, and seconded by Commissioner Souza. Staff, could you do roll call?
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Paskaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
All right, it looks like we have 5 ayes and 2 excused. The motion passes. And we'll move on to action item C, which is authorizing the executive director to award base camp management operations contract to Dawson Solution for FY 2025. I'll turn it over to Executive Director Naho'opi'i, and he can give us an update.
Hey, thank you, Chair. We started a new solicitation for the base camp contract, even though we had a third option available. Part of it was we have done this contract and resolicitation and extensions for 20-something years, I guess, with different contractors. This was the first year that we found that our contract language was deficient because it did not say that there could be incremental increases due to inflation in the contract. So what we did, instead of trying to correct the old contract and amend it, it would have been easier just to write a whole new contract. So we put it out back for solicitation. We would like to award the base camp contract to Dawson Solutions LLC for the amount of $41.61 for the period of May 15th, 2024 to May 14th, 2025. They were the only technically capable, technically qualified, competent contractor to have bid on this solicitation. In the tables below, you see the change. Even though this is a new contract, you can see the changes between the FY24, which is the existing contract, and the current contract. We have about an increase in food services section, about 36,000, in labor in 36,000. And then we have these contingent services that went down for contingent transportation, but we've increased the allowance for contingency, $15,000. I've added that in as an opportunity for us to help with the boat repair, because boat repair is one of the capabilities that they have. And one of the problems we've been having is contracting a boat repair person that would be compliant with the Hawaii Compliance Exchange Program. So we can contract our base camp contractor to procure the boat repair services and provide the boat services. So that's why we added an extra $15,000 in allowances. All these allowances may or may not be used. So if they're not used, then the funds just get returned back to the general fund. In terms of payment, we're planning to encumber about the first 3 months using FY24 funding. And then once the FY25 funding is released, we will encumber the rest of the contract. And that's something that we had to add into the scope of work because our previous contract language did not allow for partial encumbrance of the contract. You had to fully encumber the whole funding. This way we can set aside funds from the current year to extend us through at least the first quarter, which is probably when the governor may sign the budget and then release funding for the next fiscal year. And then we'll have funding available for the next fiscal year to finish out the rest of the contract. And then we continue so on. So we'll encumber 3 quarters of the contract next year and then 1 quarter this year. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Executive Director. I want to open up the floor for general discussion on this item.
Oh, I have one comment. We're intending to use only general funds. That was something from last year that because we did not get that we knew we were getting the 400,000 in general funds, but it was the delay in the release. We had to use trust funds, and it was a significant impact on our trust funds. But we were able to, once the general funds were released, we were able to unencumber the trust funds and replace it with general funds and get back a lot of that money. So when we go over through the trust fund balance and the budget, it'll look a lot better than what we had last year. Okay.
Thank you, Executive Director. So I have a question. So this time next year, do we anticipate, I know it's a year out, but do we anticipate general funds being used again to help fund this contract, or is that just depends on the situation that we get from the legislature this year?
We think we have enough, so we're gonna use a combination of general funds, and we're building into most of our grants about a 25% for infrastructure, which is base camp, the boat, things that are not direct cost to the grants. So as we get these grants, we're also capturing in reimbursable money that will go towards these contracts too. Most of the supply stuff we're getting paid for by future grants. So we don't include a lot of the vehicle parts, fuel and all that stuff is not in here anymore. We've taken all that out, and we're trying to capture most of that stuff out of our reimbursable trust funds.
Thank
But
you.
I think that's the cycle we're going to go every year.
Yeah.
The whole reason that we justified the 400,000 was it was to help pay for the base camp. It was for, and that's the major chunk for the base camp.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Saito. Do you have a question for Executive Director OPE?
Yeah, I just had a question, the contingency additional 15,000. And just reading some of the issues you've had with Ohua.
Yeah.
What if you need more? And is it covering all of Ohua's repairs?
The big repairs we can contract. The problem is it's the small repairs. So an example right now, we're trying to buy this 2,500. We're trying to buy a $7,000 turbocharger replacement, 2 of them, for $7,000. Because it's more than 2,500, we can't use a P card. Because it's less than $10,000, we don't put it on the street. We finally found somebody who's willing to sell it to us, but they only take cash. So we have to cut a PO and then get a check written and then send it over to them. And then now we're not the authorized, now the big one is we're not the authorized vendor of the material. So we can only go to an authorized vendor, and the authorized vendor only wants money under the table. So now, this is kind of a workaround around the situation we're having, yeah. But I think 15 is good enough for now.
Okay,
So it'll get us there, yeah. Yeah, the
so,
big stuff,
like-
we can contract big stuff, yeah.
So you guys will, the KIRC will take care of like things that can be taken care on the P card and everything above the 10,000. That's kind of
Yeah.
to catch the in between. That's the 15,000 with Dawson is to catch the in between.
In between, yeah, the in between,
Okay.
yeah. Because the big stuff, we can do a separate contract bid, and we can get someone else to do the work, yeah. It's the middle stuff that's hard.
Hello, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do have another question.
Yeah.
So I see that some of the changes from the previous proposal include increases to some of the positions. So I know that it says the chef will be getting a little bit of an increase and the project manager will also be getting an increase. Can you tell us what that's attributed to? Is it just based off of being able to retain those positions, or is it something different?
It's about a 4% cost of living. So the chef is getting 4% cost of living increase for his salary, the billable rates. And then the billable rate increase for the project manager from 102 at 112 hours to 110 at 120 hours. It's like a little bit like an 8% rate increase. And part of it is the salary increase for the individual person, and then the corporate G&A overhead increase, because they have an overhead increase too, because this is a subcontract, right? So we have to pay the increase in the overhead. So they had an overhead increase. And we're finding out that it's taking more, he's spending more hours because they're doing a lot we also have planned to do some Kaho'olawe work down there too. We're gonna fix some of the clivases and also fix some of the roofing structures. So, and they're also doing a lot more of the work preparation to go out there. They're helping us load and a bunch of other things. So that's why there's a slight increase in the hours from 112 to 120 hours. So one more day.
Yeah, so I would just say one thing too is like when you have their project manager putting in more hours than the staff, I think you start getting into a position where they're going to be increasing year after year. So I would just really pay attention to that. Like if you could have staff load and unload to take away from maybe the project manager, you might be having some cost savings there instead of having somebody paid at the $110 an hour rate doing loading and unloading. You kind of want the project manager to be that oversight overall coordinator piece, and then you have staff that would be paid at a lower level necessarily going and doing that manual labor work. So I would just be very careful about having a project manager being paid at that high rate for stuff that another position may be able to do.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask a question? And I apologize, I'm not as familiar with this contract. Isn't this just a contract for services? So,
Yes.
so why are we getting into positions and what they charge?
Just to explain where the increase is. That's the only reason. They shared it with me so I could just to explain the why the price increase between 24 and 25, FY24, FY25.
Because I mean, my fear is this is a contract for services. They're independent.
Yeah.
When we start getting into sort of more managing, I think we at that point in time begin to start to, they become more of our employees versus contractors. So, I mean, I think we contract them for a set of services.
Yeah.
How they perform it, that's their kuleana.
Yeah.
But they cannot exceed the contract price.
No,
because that's what they bid on. But yeah, that's always my fear is getting, you know, it's when we move into the employer status versus an independent contractor.
Yeah.
Because then we assume certain kinds of liabilities with that one.
Yeah. We approve the contingency, they have to coordinate with us
Okay.
to utilize the contingency. So they work with us on those. Yeah.
And the other thing is when we do grants, so the 25% you were indicating we would charge, is that like a just an admin fee or is
No,
that?
what we do is
separate?
we build into the grant, like, let's say the grant is to plant coastal restoration, do a
Yeah.
coastal restoration
Okay.
planting project. So we figure it's gonna be 5 trips.
Okay,
So we charge the price of the boat
okay,
to get the volunteers to the island as part of the grant,
I see.
which is the fuel and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then because the volunteers have to be housed on the island, we take a portion of this contract and put that as a direct cost. So we can tie the volunteer going to Kaho'olawe and their support and their housing and all that stuff as part of the direct cost of the grant.
I see.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
it's
Okay.
25 is kind of like a thumb rule target.
Okay.
It's not a 25%
Hmm.
of an overhead rate or an admin cost. We try to build in 25, sort of 25% of direct cost elements that would normally not be covered by the grant as a way of supporting the volunteers and the staff. And because that's the whole reason of the base camp and the on-island facilities is support people doing the work on Kaho'olawe. So that's how we justify taking a portion of that cost and tagging it into the grants.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
In addition to the general funds that we're getting for this.
Thank you.
It's just a way to try to split the funding out.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to award a base camp management operations contract to Dawson Solution. Do I have a motion on the floor? I have
So
a
moved.
So moved. I think that was Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Seconded by Commissioner Pescaya. Staff, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Piscaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
Sounds like we have 5 ayes and 2 excused. We'll move on to item D under action items, which is authorizing the executive director to extend communication systems contract with Harmer Radio and Electronics for FY 2025. And I'll turn it over to executive director and he can give us his update.
Okay, thank you very much. This motion, we're requesting authorization for the executive director to extend the current communication contract with Harmer Radio Electronics for the period of May 1st, 2024 to April 30th, 2025 in the amount of $74,876.77. The communication contract was extended once in FY22 to Harmer Radio Electronics for $75,000. This will be the second of 3 extensions for the current contract. Harmer has an increased labor rate of 3%, but it is offsetting that increased labor costs by savings for switching from analog to digital handheld radios. So just for background information, Harmer Radio provides the handheld radio sets that we utilize on island to communicate with KIRC base, which is at the Maui office. And we keep, whenever someone's on island, we keep a 24-hour dispatch or radio communication, emergency communications. And also the PKO have a set of radios too that we loan them while they're on the island. They also provide the microwave link to Kaho'olawe. So there is a, on Lanai, we have a microwave tower that we rent. We have space and then we have a tower on there, and that connects to a fiber optic line on Lanai, which then transmits to Kaho'olawe, and we have a microwave relay tower that's about 2 miles or so outside of our base camp, and then it relays from there, and we have a fiber optic line going all the way underground to our base camp, and that provides provides phone and internet services on the island. And then also we have TV out there. We have a dish network that we can utilize for people who are out there. And then we have repeaters on Maui that connects to the north end of the island, and then a repeater in base camp that connects to the western and southern half of the island. They also maintain our video camera system we have in camp. We have remote video that we can monitor the camp when the camp is empty, and that system is up, but right now we're trying to change over to a new data system. So eventually, hopefully we can give you guys logins. You can log in and you can see the camp when the camp is closed. You can watch the owls walk around our parking lot when nobody's there and see the seabirds, pooping all over the place. But it's pretty good. That's it.
Mute.
Yeah.
Oh, Chair, are you on mute?
Sorry, I accidentally toggled something, but I'll go right into I'll entertain a motion to approve or to authorize the executive director to extend communication system contract with Harmer Radio and Electronics for FY 2025. Do I have a move on?
I move.
Moved by Commissioner Pescaya
I'll second.
and seconded by Commissioner Saito. Is there any discussion on the item?
Oh, I just have one comment I want to add in. The reason we didn't do a new contract is because this contract did not increase. So we don't have to change the language. And this is the last year of this current contract, but we will be adding the same language that we put into the base camp contract into the renewal next year, or into the new bid next year.
Okay, thank you for that. We do have Commissioner Saito. Go ahead.
Mike, I just had a question on the live stream. You said that would be put out. Is that just to like specific individuals, or how like open is it? Is it like
It's only to specific individuals because the bandwidth, too many people on it, it slows it down because we're transmitting along our microwave link. So we really don't want, we use it to monitor the ocean, like ocean guys use it like the boat guys, so they can see what the bay looks like before they land. And then I'll periodically check the camp, make sure there's no, people patrol, people sneaking in or anything like that.
Okay, this is just for staff though, right?
Yeah, just for staff, and then commissioners, we'll give commissioners a link. But what we were doing, I think we have another HTA project where we'll take snapshots from it and then host it on our on another website as part of one of the HTA projects. I think it was interactive Kaho'olawe visit. I forget the name of that HTA project. Yeah, but we've been having problems with those camera systems, so we're working. We installed them about 8 years ago, so we're upgrading. We just upgraded new cameras and new network and everything like that. So it's just a bandwidth thing. So we're gonna try to do some kind of video capture from those cameras and then host it somewhere else. Host it on a different type of platform.
Okay, mahalo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Saito. If there are no other questions, I'll ask staff to do the roll call vote on the main motion.
Chairperson Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Piscaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
All right, thank you. It looks like we have 5 ayes, 2 excused. The motion passes. We'll move on down the agenda for action items. 5E. 5E is approving a recommendation and direct staff to submit a recommendation for new chairperson to the governor. So as a commission, we will need to recommend someone to represent us as the chair. I am acting chair right now. And this person, I believe, if I'm saying it correctly, will vote on the person here in the commission, and then that vote will go on to the governor, and he'll either approve or deny, and then he'll make a recommendation to the Senate. Is that correct?
Yes.
For that person to be installed as the new chair of the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission.
Well, he'll just appoint. All he has to do is appoint the person as chairperson, and no confirmation is needed if they've already been confirmed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So no confirmation needed by the Senate. He'll just need to appoint, like the executive director says. So I wanted to have a discussion among the commissioners on this item, and then we also have an item coming up is nominating and voting on the vice chairperson in F. So before we get to that point, I'd like to open up the floor to the commission to discuss who we should select as the chairperson, or if there's anybody willing to volunteer.
I volunteer to serve as chairperson of the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Piscaya. Do we have any discussion? We have Commissioner Piscaya offering herself up to volunteer to be the chairperson. I think it's a good selection. She's been with us over the past term, and she's done an excellent job representing herself and the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission. Any discussion on the nomination of Commissioner Piscaya as our chairperson? Okay. So then I'll entertain a motion I'll entertain a motion for Commissioner Piscaya to be let me see how the language is written, to be the recommendation on behalf of the KIRC Commission to be submitted to the governor as our chairperson. Do I have a move on?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Souza.
My second.
And seconded by Commissioner Saito. We'll do a brief discussion. I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. I think Commissioner Piscaya would be an excellent leader for us here on the commission. My work with her in the past has been really good. She has a lot of insight into Kaho'olawe itself, and I think she brings a breath of fresh air that's really needed here for the commission. So I fully support her being our new chairperson, and I wish her luck with the governor. So thank you, Commissioner Piscaya.
Mahalo nui.
Shouldn't be too bad. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I too agree with you, Commissioner Mataafa. She's an excellent leader in her own community on Molokai, and for the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana. So I think she'll represent the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission well.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote with the commissioners present.
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Paskaya,
Do I get to vote for myself? Aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
All right, it looks like we have 5 ayes and 2 excused. Congratulations, Commissioner Pescaya. Look forward to working with you in your new role as chair.
Chair, I just want to say something real quick, chance.
Go ahead, Executive
Yeah,
Director.
I just want to say thank you very much for being our acting chair. I know with your new duties on Maui, you are the most busiest person there is. Working with your staff, trying to find a 2-hour window for you to just work with you. It's been, I'm amazed that with all the things that you have to do, that you still can spend time with us. But thank you very much for supporting us as the acting chair for this period.
Thank you. And I look forward to continue my role as commissioner and helping out
Yeah.
the commission any way I can. So
Yeah.
if you need to lean on me, feel free to, Commissioner Pescaya. So we'll wrap that action item up and we'll move on to the next item, which is nominating and voting on a vice chairperson. So I also want to open up the floor for a discussion now for anybody who either wants to nominate someone else or nominate themselves to be vice chair. We'll do that now in general discussion. Okay, I'll
Chair
start.
Mataafa,
Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Kahale Saito, Commissioner Saito, to become our vice chair of the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission.
Thank you. You were about to steal what I was about to say. Thank you. Commissioner Saito, you have a nomination from Commissioner Souza. Do you accept that nomination?
Sure.
No backing out.
Hello, Commissioner Souza.
Any general discussion on this one?
No,
Okay.
so I'd like to say something. Same with Mikiala. Kahale does serve her community well, and I've known her for many years, and we got to work together, in some occasions. But I believe she'll fulfill that role to the best of her ability and serve us well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Souza. And I will echo what Commissioner Souza had said. Just from the very limited amount of time and interaction we've had today, it's clear that you have the competence and ability and the temperament to lead us as vice chair of this commission. So I appreciate the nomination. And if there's no other general discussion, I'll entertain a motion to nominate and vote Commissioner Saito as our vice chair of the commission. Do I have a move on?
I so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Pescaya. Can I get a
Second.
second? Seconded by Commissioner Souza. Any discussion before we take the vote? Okay, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Staff, could you do roll call, please?
Chair Mataafa,
Aye.
Chair Chang,
Aye.
Commissioner Paskaya,
Oh, aye.
Commissioner Saito,
Aye.
Commissioner Souza.
Aye.
Thank you, staff. It seems like we have 5 ayes with 2 excused. The motion passes, and congratulations, Commissioner Saito, on being our new vice chair. Thank you. I wanted to ask a quick clarifying question to our AG. So for the next meeting that we have, I guess it depends on the governor's nomination process and how fast he can move on Commissioner Pescaya's nomination as chair. Would she be able to step in and run the next commission meeting, or would it fall to Commissioner Saito?
Cycle until the governor appoints.
I'm gonna defer to Mike. I don't know the answer, but Mike has a sense that
It's the because we can vote for a vice chair, it's not in statute. The vice chair becomes the acting chair in lieu of a chair. So until the governor appoints the chair, the vice chair acts as the chair. So that's why I think that was one of the reasons why we added in the vice chair vote. Yeah, just so as a backup. Yeah, just case for that window, that time period that between appointment and actually happening. Yeah,
that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I guess it depends on the timing of when our next meeting is, and how fast nominations can go through either with the governor. If we have a meeting after that, then I think Commissioner Pescaya will take the gavel. But if not, Commissioner Saito, you will be the acting chair. I'll have to run that meeting. Thank you. Okay, moving on to administrative business. Item A is the executive director's report. Actually, sorry, should I continue running the meeting, or should I pass it on to Commissioner Saito?
Either or, I guess either or, it doesn't really matter.
I think continuing as we've started with our public notice would be the most appropriate.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so I'll run the rest of this meeting and then you'll take over next one, Commissioner Saito. But we'll go on to our next item, item 6, which is administrative business. And item A is the executive director's report. So I'll turn it over to our executive director, Mike Naho'opi'i, and he can give us his update.
Thank you very much, Chair, former Chair. Okay, starting off with our budget, finance, and funding. A review of the annual trust fund report is attached. It's right after my report. It has the copy of the State of Hawaii logo on top. We submitted this for the start of, well, we're required to submit this report 20 days prior to the start of the new legislative session. This is the trust fund as of ending of FY23, which has an ending cash balance of $706,000 and an unencumbered cash balance of $624,000. Compared to the previous year, we're about the same place about ending cash balance. So basically meaning we didn't really spend any much from the trust fund, but we are a lot better in the unencumbered cash balance from last year. In end of FY22, we had an unencumbered cash balance of $231,000. This year we're at $624,000. Meaning that we are not using any of the trust fund to encumber our big contracts, which we had to do the year before. And we also, according to our records, we are looking at getting about $350,000 in reimbursements for grant funds. So the way we work grants and grant operations is that we'll utilize trust fund money, and then we will apply for the reimbursement, and then the reimbursement will go back into the trust fund. That could be a delay of anywhere from 3 months to almost a year. So one of the things we've been trying to do is push that accounts payable time period shorter, get it down to 3 months if possible, which means we'd have to make sure we have quarterly billings, make sure the billings get processed through fiscal, make sure that our funder cuts the checks, makes the deposits into fiscal, and then fiscal deposits it into their trust fund, into the right trust fund account, and then the funds released and transferred into our trust fund account. So managing that process is a very hands-on checking to make sure that the money coming in, the money goes out, and then, just pushing that. So that's one of our objectives for the following year, is to increase or to decrease the time difference between expenditure of the funds and the recovery of the actual money in reimbursements. The next part you can also see is our budget report, our expenditure report. If I can get the, where is it? Oh, it's stuck in here. Okay, right now, on our budget, we have an approved budget of $2.2 million. We've expended about 829,000. We're about 37% spent. So we're significantly underspent right now. The biggest reason is the delay in the DOH 6 grant that we had budgeted in our program. We were expecting to have started that grant project in January, but the Department of Health is right now holding off on their funding as they wait to see what happens with their federal funds. And so we're not going to be expending that money until we actually have a signed contract. So we're holding off the major large purchases with that are in relationship to those grants, which is creating a new contract for native plants, which would encumber over, I think, $10,000 worth of plant money. And also, we're not spending the funds that we would have utilized for staff that would have been paid for in that grant. So that's why we're underspending right now in those areas. Other than that, we're pretty good with our spending. This is as of December 31st, so it's about 50% through the year. We on average are about 40% or so spent in most of the non-personnel costs. When we track our budget, we track it in two levels. One is personnel and then non-personnel. So for personnel, they're all general funded, which is pretty straight line. So if we're about 50% through the year, for personnel, we should be about 50% spent. Non-personnel costs are actual money that is either from the general fund or trust fund. We try to keep that below the percentage of where we are. So if we're 75% through the year, we try to be about 3 to 6% underneath. And then so at the end of the year, we'll have about somewhere between 3 to 6% savings and always come under the budget. So that's the kind of an internal target for us, is to be always end the year under budget by at least 6%, 3 to 6%. Yeah. But making sure that we spend every single dime of general funds. So, okay, that's that one.
Sorry, I'll stop you right there really quickly. That was item A1, correct? Are there any questions on item A1 before we move on to the next one? A2 under the agenda. I just wanted to ask really quickly, the outlook for the next couple fiscal years. I know the state and the county are going to be kind of hard hit. Do you anticipate any changes for next year to the overall budget? I mean, looking to cut back on things, and if you were to look at cutting back, have you considered which things you would cut back in your overall budget?
Our biggest cost is base camp, so the only way to cut back more is to cut back the number of months we're out there.
Yeah.
And we've done that before. We actually used to run the base camp 24/7, which at that about 10 years ago was about I forget, like over $1 million, something like that. And then we changed to this 10 days, which is about a third. Well, 10 days is about a third or halftime. It's about halftime now. We would have to like maybe drop a month or something like that. You know, that's the only way we could. That's the major cost savings. Most likely, they're not going to cut personnel. That's always the last thing they cut, but they'll cut operating costs. So there is a proposal right now floating around the state for a 10% and a 15% reduction in general funds and other operating funds. Our contribution at this time is for 10% would be, well, our contribution for the department's 10% would be about $19,000 or a little bit, about $20,000 in current operating expenses. Our 15% contribution is about $120,000 in current operating expenses. No personnel is cut on that one. Yeah. So that depends on if if the money committees approve that or direct that from the budget. So,
Okay. Yeah, just as long as that's like on the top of our mind too, that
Yeah.
here there
Yeah.
might be cuts coming down, that we can be nimble in figuring out which programs we decide to cut back on a little bit.
yeah, that's my nightmare. My nightmare every night is I go, what are we cutting? Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you. Move on to the second piece of
Okay. Number 2, status of update plan, policies, reviewed long range schedule, copy of long range schedules attached. Not much changes. We've had to cancel a lot of access because of the boat issue. So we're really not programming in too many more new groups into our schedule. We are leaving a window open in June for FestPack to support any canoe that wants to come to Kaho'olawe to depart via and to go visit the kuhikehe, the pai or kuhikehe, so they can do whatever ceremonies they need to do before they depart. So we're leaving a window open and not scheduling any volunteer groups during that time. I do have tentatively scheduled in July a legislative site visit for House Waterland committee members during the summer. And other than that, we're not really looking at adding too many new things until we get assurances that the boat is ready to go and take people. Right now, we have in place a borrowed boat. Doesn't take as many people and doesn't do beach landings, but it still gets us there, gets fuel, gets food, gets things we need to do, but in a smaller capacity. Okay, that's number 2.
Any questions on number 2? I have a couple, but I wanted to go to the commission first. I see Commissioner Saito has her hand up. Go ahead.
I just have one clarification. Mike, can you change the name of Kaholokalani to Ipuakane?
Okay, dokie.
And then also for the Piko Wakea, is that Hakiwawa line supposed to be aligned with that? Or are you
No, this is what the PKO requested, those dates.
for access to Honokanea?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea who's going, but that was in the request.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because I see I just see I guess the Hakiwawa means that PKO is there?
Yes.
Above the line above Piko Wakea?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all.
Commissioner Piscaya, did you have a question? Oh, okay. I wanted to kind of look at, I know the item says long range schedule. I just wanted to, I know 2026 is right around the corner, and we do have a couple of long range plans that we've adopted quite a while ago. So I think the work of the commission should start looking towards what happens after 2026. And maybe evaluating where we're at now as far as milestones and where we're at with our goals that we set in the long range plan, and see how we can maybe look to either change the goals for after 2026 or just to kind of see where we're at temperature wise. So maybe a recommendation for the next meeting is to really, we have to do it all in one meeting, but maybe take the long range plans that we do have and break down the goals in those plans and see where we're at. And we can do it by percentage just to see how close we are to reaching those goals. And then because 2026 is right around the corner, we may want to look at adjusting those as well. Is that something the administration can do?
Yeah, we've been in discussions with the original Iola Kanaloa working group, the one that created the 26th plan. And what our target right now is for this fiscal year, we will document what we have achieved in each of the 8 goal areas. And so I've already asked PKO to also to start documenting what the achievements have been, and we're working on that right after this commission meeting. We start that process, and we will have a report at the end of this fiscal year of the items that we have accomplished in accordance with those 8 goals, then FY25 can be utilized to review the goals, massage them, see what we want to change, redesign, reconfigure everything, and then so that we can publish it in FY26, which is still calendar year 25. And then by calendar year 26, it would be going out for public review. What is the follow-on to Iola Kanaloa FY26, the 50 years of PK, 50 years since the landing of George and Emmett and Walter and the gang out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. And maybe we'll take it up in a couple of meetings. It doesn't have to be all at once, but as long as we have it on our radar and you're thinking of it, which it sounds like you are, I think it'd be good for the commission to review some of those goals with you folks and looking at how we can help moving forward. So
I can start including it on the updates, the administrative updates, reports from the Iola Kanaloa working group.
Sounds good.
And Chair, could I just ask, for the benefit of those who weren't part of that long-range planning process, if you could just make a copy available to us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on if there's no other questions on item A2. The next item is the status update on your staffing and personnel.
Okay. I think you guys kind of, there's a little summary here about the commissioners whose terms expired in, well, so you have your confirmation hearing next week. We didn't realize until way late into this fiscal year that the letters that you guys sent letters weren't sent. They have a new email deposit system. The link on the Boards of Commission page doesn't really work. So we were able to work with the governor's rep to clean all that up. And we got confirmation hearing set for the 3 commissioners that will be next week. We also, Commissioner Evans' term will be expiring at the end of 24. So I already have made notifications to PKO that she still has 5 years left of availability, but they just have to start the process early. They should start the process now so that the governor can appoint when he's free again and appoint now for the continuation of her term. And then Commissioner Pang will also have his term expiring on FY at the end of this fiscal year. And he has 5 years availability left. And I already notified him and the Civic Club to start working on a reappointment. For staff, KIRC staff, we lost our previous public information specialist, Maggie Pulver. She got stolen by another Kamehameha School grad. So she is now at Hawaii Community Foundation running the Maui Strong Fund. And then we have our new public information specialist, Ashley Razzle is here in the office with us. We also hired a new reserve operation manager, which, that was one of the positions that was given to us in legislation a couple years ago. We promoted Lopaka White from the maintenance and vessel operator into the reserve ops manager. So he will start overseeing the daily operation of the base camp contracts, the radio contracts, all the operational side, so that we can start transitioning people to learn about infrastructure facility management so that I can retire one day. So that makes the maintenance and vessel operator position vacant. We have then promoted the logistics specialist, Brett Thompson, who's also a qualified boat operator with a captain's license, to fill the vacancy of the vessel operator. That now makes the logistics specialist, or the first mate of the boat, vacant, and we are in the process of recruiting and hiring for that. We had 2 applicants for the newly funded cultural resource project coordinator position that was established last year. Commissioner Pescaya was assigned as part of the review committee. We had interviewed 2 people. We had made selection of 1. We are currently working with that 1 selection to define working hours and other parameters, because I think she's on travel and when to get a start date. So we're still working with her for the actual offer. And once she comes back, we'll have more discussion with that. So right now we have 1 vacancy and one that we have made an offer to. And that vacancy, I think we've done the recruitment already, so we hope to fill that fast and be back to 0 vacancies. So that's it for item number 4.
I just wanted to say really quickly, congratulations to Grant and Lopaka on their new roles. Welcome on board to Ashley. Thank you for joining and helping us out here in the commission.
Item number 5, capital improvement. Oh, no. 4, public information outreach, government relations, report on legislative interactions, and briefing and the cancellation of the House Water Committee. Okay, so legislative interactions. In July, we had the Senate Ways and Means Committee came to Maui. They asked us to set up a briefing to discuss the Maui, the Kihei Education and Operations Center. We did a complete briefing on that for the whole WAM committee. They're very receptive of it, but they also asked us to do a briefing on the HRS 6K9, which is the transfer of Kaho'olawe to the sovereign Native Hawaiian entity. And at the time, OHA Chair Hulu Lindsay came to talk to represent OHA, and I forget who you guys CEO at the time was. Was it Colin?
Sylvia.
Huh?
Sylvia, or maybe Colin.
Was Colin, right?
Interim.
Yeah. Interim. Yeah. So he came too, and they were surprised. We actually we have a strategic plan for the transfer of Kaho'olawe. So in summary, our statute says, upon the federal and state recognition of a Native Hawaiian sovereign entity, the management and control of Kaho'olawe shall be transferred to this entity. We wrote in our strategic plan back in 2008 a process that we can utilize if that ever happens. And part of the briefing was, what triggers it? Most likely for us, it would be a federal, some federal title or some federal registered announcement of a federal recognition of a Native Hawaiian entity, which would then be followed by probably either a bill or a governor's proclamation or executive order that recognizes it. Once those 2 key elements are identified, it would trigger our action plan. And in our action plan, we forecasted that there are 4 possible means of transferring the island. The statute says management and control, which doesn't say title. So we looked at different avenues. One is if management and control is what is transferred, then one model is the seats on the KIRC is transferred to a Native Hawaiian sovereign entity, because in the statute, the commission has management and the control of use of Kaho'olawe. So by transferring the 7 seats to the sovereign entity, that's one means of executing management and control. Another means would be the sovereign entity may say, we don't want Kaho'olawe because it's too much of a liability at this time and a financial burden, and call us in 20 years or something like that. So we stay with the state, and KIRC still functions as a state entity. Third option is title is transferred, and then we will go through the execution of a title transfer. And the way the Navy did it was they did it by a quitclaim deed, and something similar could be done. And then the fourth option is title and the residual balance of the trust fund is transferred, even though the trust fund is not stated to be transferred. Normally, residual balances of the trust fund go back to the general funds. So we looked at 4 different options. We have pathways for 4 different ones, and they were surprised that we thought it out already. So we have it all planned out for that. And we were on very good grounds to get funding for Kihei until other events happened. Yeah. We also had a planned House and Water and Land Committee access to the island was planned for September, but that was canceled due to the other events on Maui. And at that time, they put it off. We're rescheduled for this summer, but it's a 50-50 chance that it's going to happen this summer because it's also campaign season. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, they canceled before because of campaign season. Yeah. Okay, that's it for legislative interactions. Any questions? No. Okay, status on capital improvements. Update on Uhua. So Uhua is our 40-foot landing craft. It has a front drop-down gate. It uses jet drive, which it sucks the water in, spits it out the back, and then there's no prop. So we have a draft about under a foot. So we go very shallow. Yeah. Because of that, jet drive is a very unique drive system with only one authorized mechanic on Maui. And right now we don't have problems with jet drive, but we only have one. There's only one authorized mechanic. Right now, last year we had vibration issues with the engine, and they searched around and we put the boat down for about quite a few months, looking for the problem. Couldn't find a problem. Couldn't see any. We rebuilt the transmission. The transmission was okay afterwards. We still have the noise, so we decided to put the boat back in operation until it actually broke, so we can figure out something's wrong. We still haven't found the problem with the vibration, but we did find we couldn't get our RPMs up high enough, and we found that there's a leak in the turbochargers. So we're trying to replace the turbochargers. The problem we have, as I mentioned earlier, is the purchasing of the turbochargers. So we're working through that. We're hoping we can put the new turbochargers on, get the RPMs back up. Hopefully we get the boat back in the running, and then figure out why is it vibrating. We still don't know why it's vibrating. So that is the long-going saga of Ohua. We've been asking a lot of people. They're kind of scratching their heads. And
have you tried blessing it?
Huh?
Have you tried blessing it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're gonna be kind of that thing and goat and something. Sorry, what's a goat? I don't know. Okay. So that's the ongoing saga. We're still working on it. That is the bane of my operations staff existence now. Is they get the call from me all the time, going, "What's happening with the boat this week?" So, but we do have a backup. We are getting loans from people about their boats. And because it's whale season, we can't use the NOAA boat, but sometimes we use the NOAA vessel. As long as we pay for the gas, we're good.
I have a big Navy vessel for you.
Oh, is that the mice? Yeah, I know which one. The grounded one, yeah. I actually took a look at that one. So, okay, update on Honokanaya CIP project. As we said, what our request for this year is. So we got funding 2 years ago, $500,000 in CIP funding, to do a bunch of different Honokanaya base camp improvement projects. So right now we are working on the scope of work. We're going to break it up into probably 2 purchases. The first one, we're going to be looking at roof repairs, water gathering from the roofs in base camp, redoing the distribution system of fresh water. The freshwater piping on camp has been jury-rigged for almost 30 years, from 1 inch to ½ inch to 3/4 inch, out of the two, all kind of piping. We found we have leaks under the ground because we didn't know there are pipes there. So we're going to strip it all out, put it standard scheduling piping, and then standard grade of piping and typical traps and all the things we're supposed to do in a regular water system. And then look at some other energy saving projects around the camp as phase 1. Phase 2, once we get that bid and we see how much money is left, we can do the second part, which is building improvements, redoing the boardwalks in camp, safety related issues, maybe other camp improvements. We might have options to do some other projects elsewhere on the island. But we're gonna see we want to get the first one done. We have the funding release, got it released last year, so I have 3 years to spend it. So this is year 2. We hope to get it encumbered by this year, and then once encumbered, we get 3 years to actually spend the encumbered money. So, and that is number 5.
Okay, thank you, Executive Director. Before we move on, I know we had a question from one of our commissioners. Commissioner Saito had a question about item number 4. Do you want to go ahead and state your question, Commissioner Saito?
I was just wondering this sovereign transfer action plan, it's a public document, yeah? We can distribute it to our PKO.
It's in our library. It's strategic plan number 8, I believe. 8 or 9, some of that. It's in our library on
Okay,
our website. If you go to library, and then there should be an action plan. I forget which number. It's way on the. It's like the very last action plan.
okay. And then just a question on this. So an entity would have to step forward to the commission to initiate this?
No, we would be directed. Because like the way it happened back in '93, on the federal side, Senator Inouye introduced a bill into the Defense Appropriation Act that transferred Kaho'olawe to the state of Hawaii. Most likely, well, they haven't approved an appropriation bill in a very long time. It's been continuation bills. So most likely the senator or somebody will introduce a bill into Congress that would recognize whoever as a Native Hawaiian sovereign entity. I mean, that's probably the federal side of it, how it's going to happen. And then it will be either attached, either as an executive executive order from the president, or attached to a funding, most likely be attached to a funding bill and buried in some funding bill, like a Department of Interior funding bill that will get creation, more funding to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, no, not the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, the federal office,
DOI.
Department of Interior.
OH something. Yeah, the one Stanton's office, yeah. So that's probably the federal one. And then on the state side, what they did on the state recognition for Kaho'olawe was they introduced Act 340, which was the creating 6K, the statute that created the KIRC. So most likely, whoever the entity is, they will have negotiated all this ahead of time with the state government and with the federal government. And then those two entities will introduce bills and pass laws. And then out of that, there'll be wording probably already in there, either you assume, or what the method of the transfer is going to be. Yeah. It'll probably be all negotiated out beforehand. So it's not like going to be surprised like Inouye did to us back in '93, right, Bob?
Yeah, but if I can just chime into that discussion, I thought it was, right now, the federal government doesn't have any jurisdiction other than they have ongoing liability for any unexploded. So my understanding, and I don't have the bill I don't have the statute in front of me, but what triggers it is the federal government, there has to be the federal government has to recognize a Native Hawaiian sovereign entity, recognized by the federal government and the state. So in my mind, it is the state of Hawaii and this federal government that negotiates. The federal government is not involved in that transfer because they're already out. So it's the state of Hawaii, and this federal entity will then negotiate the terms of the transfer. But what triggers the transfer is when the federal government recognizes a sovereign entity. Then I think it triggers the next step between the state of Hawaii and the federally recognized entity, assuming that the state of Hawaii also recognizes that federal entity. I mean, that recognized sovereign entity.
Yeah.
But I don't think the federal government, other than recognizing a sovereign entity, I don't think they have a role in that transfer.
They'll have one part, which is it's required in the MOU between the state and the Navy that all the terms of the MOU and the agreements that were signed post MOU, post '93, have to be adopted by whoever takes the title. So the long-term management
Right.
requirements, the relationship that was established between the state and the Navy, those terms have to be adopted before they can take the statute, before we can release title.
Well, I think it's
Yeah.
for liability
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
In order to ensure that the federal government continues to have liability, we have to agree to those terms of the MOU. But, so. I
And
don't know.
that changed the whole discussion there when they realized that whoever takes over Kaho'olawe has to sign and take over all the terms of the MOUs and the agreements.
I don't know, Kahala, you think we're close?
It's a loaded question.
I get the paperwork already ready to go. Just gotta-
And why the title the title pathway and then just the management was it the management and
Management and control.
control? Yeah.
The actual language in 6K says transfer, management and control. It doesn't say transfer the title.
Oh, but so you put the title just to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know me, I'm ready for everything. Huh?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
And then just the next question I had separate from this sovereign transfer action plan is for the House Water and Land Committee that's supposed to visit the island.
Yeah.
Are commissioners allowed to participate in that
Sure.
visit?
Sure.
Okay.
I think as long as it's not more than two.
Yeah, not more than two, because then it becomes a sunshine
Yeah.
law
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Okay. Can you keep us informed of that in case
Sure.
one of us want to participate in that?
Yeah, good idea.
Are there any other questions? I'd also like to recognize Commissioner Evans. Thank you for joining us. Any other questions on the administrative business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to the last, or we'll move on to project status updates. Go ahead, Executive Director.
Okay, the first one, I believe, Carrie, that's you.
Aloha Commissioners, just providing the very last update for the KIRC Virtual Library. The grant has been for over a year, but we just finally got the money into the right accounts. So that is why I'm still reporting on it. All of the deliverables were completed. I'm still working on adding to the library, and we are actually going to we're trying to improve the library and the database. We are going to be converting the website from being hosted from Past Perfect to Catalog It, which is a much more user-friendly program, and our IT person Carmela loves it. So we're switching over hopefully pretty soon. So that's the end of that update. Mahalo.
Okay, number two,
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Chair, so Terry, is this going to require ongoing maintenance? And two, will it be updated with new information?
Yes to both questions. I work on it as time allows. I'm the only one that works on it currently. So what we do is right now the Catalog It program that we're converting to is actually going to be funded by IMLS 5, which is a project that Carmela is heading up. And we will have it up and running. The contract, I believe, is the agreement is for 3 years. So during that time, I will probably be applying for additional grants in order to maintain the website.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? IMLS 4, Terry, are you briefing down too?
I don't believe so.
Oh, but that's Carmela, right?
Yes, so
Okay, I can
and
provide
she,
updates.
yeah,
Okay, so IMLS 4 was it's we talked about earlier about those videos from camp. So this was a platform of an extension of, so each of these build on each other, these IMLS grants. So the first one was this this library, and then you can see the still pictures with information. Then we're creating these, we're housing live video streams from Kaho'olawe on the KIRC website and social media posts, and then sharing photos and video updates on the KIRC YouTube channel. So it paid for that, and documentation. So all these projects here were part of IMLS 4. And it also provided infrastructure for us to improve our communications between the island and off island, and also for networking and computer systems within the office. So we're able to upgrade a lot of our communication and computer systems from this grant. I don't have too much of that because Carmela is gone right now at this time. So we don't have too much more update. We haven't had changed much lately. IMLS 5, that's Carmela too, right? Terry?
yes, yes.
Okay, IMLS 5 is an extension of IMLS 3. It's utilizing, it's another extension of virtual Kaho'olawe trips on our website. So this is more of our website upgrades, and also using installing new hardware and software. So we're supposed to get new computer servers, and well, installing us on having more access and people accessing our website. And we have more cloud-based server systems. So we were doing this independent of the state system at first. So that's how this all started up. And then this allowed us to fund most so we're changing in the office. We're trying to create a different way of working. So we're going to laptop-based stations where we can bring your laptop to a meeting, and then we can work together in groups or hubs, and then you can take it with you to island if you need to do stuff on the island, and then we can log on to the network on the island. So it's to help improve the technical ways of doing work in a more modern way instead of the old desktop machines. We'll have a better update on the next meeting when they come here. The next one is HTA. Are you in charge of HTA now? Okay. Yeah, so the HTA project.
Yes, this is Ashley. I am.
Oh, you got to talk to one of these things, yeah.
This is Ashley. I am managing the HTA grant program over at the Ocean Center. So this program is really concentrating on upgrading and updating the exhibit over at Maui Ocean Center. The big goal of that is to increase engagement, and then a big push for donations. So with that, we're looking at multiple quotes for projectors, a production company to come in and actually do a total upgrade. This exhibit really came from the Bishop Museum, and it's different than the other exhibits in the Ocean Center that are more engaging and have better technology in there. So a part of that upgrade is also fixing the topographic map. Part of it has been already repaired by the Maui Ocean Center electricians, but another part needs to also be completed. And we finished a voiceover of Michael that will be educating people on the education center in Kihei that we were working on. So that will have a QR code to go to an online donation platform. And that's the update of where we're at with HTA right now.
So a quick background, just before the pandemic, Maui Ocean Center approached us. They were building their new, what do you call it, the big ball thing they had, inspirational, whatever, the whale interaction.
Oh, the humpback whale, the sphere?
The sphere, yeah, they're building the sphere. So they had an empty space. I think it was like about 2,000 square feet of empty space that they were moving all the exhibits out of. And they used to use for like the videos and stuff. So now they're going to move to this other hall. So they knew we had in our collection, we had in storage this museum exhibit that was done at Bishop Museum in 96. And then it went to the Smithsonian in 97. And we kept all the exhibition and artwork and all that stuff. So we create a partnership. They paid for everything. We loaned our collection of information and stuff from our warehouse to them. They built an exhibition of a journey into the space, and it utilizes the old images and the wall displays and all the different things we had. And it tells a story of marine debris, cultural restoration, future uses, Kaho'olawe. They have pictures of all the newspaper articles from the 70s about the landings. And they promote that with us. And in partnership, they donated money back to us as part of our share of the revenue of people going there. And they also donated to PKO funding for that, the use of the material. And then they gave us another space that we are going to do a fly-through video of the new Kihei Center with a voiceover and asking people to help donate or help support this drive to build the Kihei Center. Eventually, we would like to bookend Kihei, they at the north and us in the south, and then we will do a partnership we were talking about partnerships where visitors would buy a common ticket and they will have access to both facilities. And then we will both get shares of those tickets. And then maybe even some way of transferring like a tram back and forth with stops along different routes along the way as a way of promoting South Maui tourist revenue as an expansion of moving things from the north in Lahaina and as a secondary tourism destination. Because right now in Kihei, people just go there to stay or go to the beach. There's not really activities and things as such. So creating a new corridor of activities to be done along the area, and that's more educational, more environmental based, more cultural based.
Quick question.
Yes.
I know we had talked about this at the last meeting and implementing the QR code. Have you had much traffic utilizing that QR code in the past couple months or so since the last meeting?
Can you clarify the question again?
How much money we
Yeah,
got?
so at the last meeting, I think you guys implemented the QR code at that point. I was just wondering if anybody had donated in the last couple months since that QR code was implemented.
We actually haven't posted the QR code to the exhibit yet. We were waiting to do this update, so that was not created or it wasn't posted yet.
We've done more donations. So usually in the Christmas era, we get a lot of donations. I gotta see what the number is, but we usually get annual Christmas donations from our long-term supporters. We have like a lot of ex-KIRC members send checks in during that time.
I was just more talking specific to the Maui Ocean Center. I thought there was a QR code created before the last meeting for that, but it sounds like it wasn't.
Okay, yeah,
There might have been just with the change of the personnel, possibly.
Yeah,
there might have been.
We have to check with Meg. You might have created it, might have posted it, but I don't know if it's actually physically posted in the building.
Right.
It might be a virtual post on top of our Instagram site or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take a look at it. You want to make a note or update next time?
Okay.
You have that,
Let's
Terry.
move on. I know we're close to 3. I want to be respectful, but let's go and move on to the current restoration project.
Okay. Who's in Maui off? Oh, they're Paul.
Aloha, commissioners. Paul Higashino here. Update on the coastal and upland restoration wetland work on Kaho'olawe. We're still proceeding ahead with the work when we do get out to the island. Up at the Keiki wetland, the coastal area, we are cutting back the kiawe, removing the last kiawe trees from the beach area there, utilizing the brush to for erosion control and stabilizing the sand dune. Up at the Kaho'olawe wetland, we're continuing to weed eat the alien grasses, skinny grass, and cover it with weed cloth to slow down and inhibit the grass growth. At this time, not sure when we might be planting, possibly in May, or maybe holding off till October or November of this year. Again, better survival of the plants during the wet season. We're holding off on some of our purchases until the mode of logistics to the island is a more steady and reliable for us right now. Any questions on the coastal wetland or the wetland work?
Oh, can you give an update of the Palu Kanaloa, also in part of your restoration projects?
Kapalu Kanaloa, again, we have plants at Maui Nui Botanical Garden, 3 plants at Maui Nui. One plant died the other month. 3 plants at Kahanu Gardens in Hana. That's under the National Tropical Botanical Gardens. And then Kaho'olawe Farm has a couple of plants, and the rare plant facility in Linda has 19 plants. So we've been having some problems with insect invasion and viruses on the plants. Anna Palomino, running the plant facility up at Olinda, has been up on it. All the other plants seem to be doing well, except that one plant that Maui Nui that died the other month. We do have our working group meetings every 3 months. Our next one is in May. And again, trying to look for more partners to put the plants out in different environmental conditions, different areas on Maui. We're going to be at the May meeting looking at start looking at outplanting plans. What steps need to be considered before we can outplant Kapalu or Kanaloa back on Kaho'olawe or into the wild. Any questions? Okay. Now for the next update is the Kamahia Watershed Restoration Project, DUH6. And again, as Mike had mentioned earlier, we've been delayed, supposed to start in October, then January. A lot of it is, I think a lot of the personnel from Department of Health has been pulled away to address, to help out with the recovery of Lahaina. Just a lot of paperwork, the MOUs, the agreements that need to be, clean water stuff that needs to be addressed for the Lahaina fire recovery. Again, with that, we get $344,000, and that we get one full-time position for 3 years. During the 3-year period, a total of 30,000 plants we put out, so roughly about 10,000 plants per year for that area. Yeah, I think I think for all of us, just waiting to get going to so we can start going out to island on a little bit more steady, regular basis to start working on our projects. Any questions?
Well, thank you so much for your update. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask Mike,
Oh,
Chair?
sorry, we do have one other question. Sorry, Paul. Go ahead, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, sorry. I was just wondering, are we looking for other grants or other funds, whether they're like with, are there potentially other funds that may be available to help do the work that you guys are doing?
We look everywhere.
What about REPI?
Who?
REPI,
Which was
DOD. I know it may be sensitive and touchy.
It's a
but
sensitive, touchy one.
no, I totally get it, but they should be paying for some of the cleanup. I mean, they should be paying for some of the restoration. Either that or EPA or, are there other sources even HCF, other funds?
Well, there is an HCF one that we are going to be looking at coming up, and
Okay.
already Maui Strong's already approached us
Okay,
about stuff.
okay.
DOD, we looked at brownstone at one time, which is brownstone is the unexploded ordnance related one.
Oh, okay.
We were gonna utilize brownstone funding to do the unexploded ordnance training and supervision work.
I see.
We did get approached by the Marine Corps. They want to do touch and goes with their VSTOL aircrafts.
Maybe
Yeah, I was like,
that might not be as.
yeah, I know, I know. So I you know,
It's just restoration work.
Yeah.
I mean, REPI is a great partner on all of our watershed protection.
yeah.
So they help us there. I mean, they have contributed a substantial amount of funds. And to me, this is a right place for them to be putting money.
Part of the problem we have with a lot of these funding agencies is that they will only recognize one Hawaii agency.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
these
so
guys-
we're hoping they'll yeah, so okay, we can talk more about
so maybe the.
Oh, yeah, I was going to mention there's a climate resilient.
Yeah.
The interior, so. we
Okay.
are,
Okay,
um,
great,
the
submitting
great.
DOI one we're applying for now.
Okay, that's
What is due
excellent.
next week, yeah.
And there's even Climate Commission. Are you partnering with Climate Commission, Leah? EPA has, we've gotten a small grant, but we're trying to leverage that to move us to the next phase. And it is several $1 million.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just think, I mean, you guys are just so dependent upon these grants, and there's got to be other funding sources available besides the push the donate button. I mean, my God, Paul, I see Paul from 40 years ago at least. He hasn't aged a day.
Thank you.
But I mean, mahalo for all the good work. Mahalo for all the good work.
Aloha.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions at all before we move on?
Sorry,
Go
Paul,
ahead.
and we can talk about this offline, but I have interest in the snails. I had a conversation with the snail lady at Bishop Museum. So to respect the rest of the commissioners' time, I'll give you a call sometime about that.
If I may ask, who are you talking to at the museum, or the topic?
I forget her name. I got her card. But she has a lot of research on snails, and we're talking extensively about the Kaho'olawe snail. So it's great if you know that the snail exists there. But
I think she was. I've been talking to a friend. Has been talking to her. I think she's been going through Dr. Kondo, the malacologist at the Bishop Museum, for many years. But okay.
bye.
I'll look
Mahalo, Paul.
or do you call Kahale, Commissioner Saito?
Thank you, Paul. Let's move on to the next piece of our agenda, status update on current ocean programs grant.
Hey, aloha commissioners. Good afternoon. Respect for your time. I'll try to be as brief and thorough as possible for the next couple of updates. First being Ocean Programs CWC grant. It's funded from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. It's an award period from March 22nd, expiring in August 2024. It's a grant award of little over $355,000. As far as work efforts, it's got some highlights of hiring a position, planting the minimum of 20,000 plants, doing a silt excavation on the road, deploying long-term sediment monitoring in the oceans, and partnering with UH geography classes. We've accomplished all of the above requirements. Just the last one, we need to continue efforts working with UH geography classes to do more wetland research. We've spent a little over $161,000 and have billed almost $140,000 and are waiting on reimbursement. That's the CWC grant. The IMLS 6 grant is a grant for just under $100,000. It's $99,960,000, and its life is from July 23 to June 2026. The efforts of this grant are to focus partnering with the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana, doing monitoring of resources on and around Kaho'olawe. The aspect that the KIRC is looking at, Ocean Program, is utilizing helicopter aerial surveys and creating a database that will be shared with the PKO so that their sightings and monitoring efforts can be compiled into one database. Again, so we haven't actually spent anything on this grant opportunity yet. We've just secured the helicopter contract, and we'll be starting to tap funds for this with helicopter surveys beginning in April from this grant, funded by this grant. Yeah, so that's the IMLS 6 grant. Yeah, go ahead, Kali.
Dean,
Oh, sorry.
will PKO representatives be able to participate in the helicopter surveys? I think it's important that we get firsthand. You know, I think part of my hope with being a commissioner now is just further developing a working relationship between the PKO and the KIRC. So I just, you know, I'm always going to encourage that we kind of partner so that the PKO has opportunities to see firsthand some of the things that the KIRC staff is seeing.
Of course, yeah, opportunity would probably always be there. The invitation would be constantly open. There would just need to be some logistical challenges, of course. One being that the helicopter, the company we use only has helicopters can seat 3 people. And also scheduling is a big thing. So it's usually scheduled just a couple months out in advance. And so if we do have space available, we'd let you know. And then it'd have to be filled by somebody on Maui, or we need to come to Maui.
Okay, and then would we be able to see the amended project since it's changed from its original form when it was submitted?
Yeah, I don't have that. It would be the PKO representative Maggie that would have that.
Okay.
So just for your background, also information, this grant was originally submitted by Maggie prior to her departure from the KIRC. So it was created by her, and then it was upon her departure that it was modified.
Okay, we can talk about it further again in the respect to the rest of the commissioners' time.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Dean.
And the last project report update would be for the NIFWIF grant. This is a closing out report for marine debris removal from Kanapo. Is a funding of $76,000, all which was received. We removed over the obligation. The obligation was for 5 tons of marine debris removal from the bay. We removed just under 6.8 tons of debris was removed. And what made this project unique was that none of it was put into the landfill. Maui County landfill. It was all diverted from the landfill in either the form of being kept on Kaho'olawe for sedimentation reduction, or flown to Maui to be recycled in the form of building blocks with Malama Maui Nui. But that has been since closed down. This will be the last reporting on this project. And that's all the Ocean Program has for now.
Sorry, Dean, I have another request for future debris. I know this one is currently ended, but just for future marine debris removal, if Oawahi'e and Hakiwawa can be included as far, at least for budgeting the removal. I think we always are, you know, every axis we're always doing marine debris cleanup. And I think the biggest issue for us is the removal of the debris. So we end up just having a lot of pileups of debris and not the funding. So just possibly if you could include those 2 places in the budget for removal.
Yeah, so this
I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works with the grant, if that's possible, but that's just something that has been requested by one of the PKO members.
Yeah, so this grant was, when it was written, it was just specifically for Kanapo. We were fortunate that there were helicopter flights that were going around and past the areas of Oawavahie and Hake'olawe. So coordination was done with PKO members, specifically Lopaka, and we were able to coordinate some efforts. I'm not sure how much I'm obligated or allowed to say, but there is coordination always being made. So PKO is always in the loop. Again, I just want to reiterate, this grant was just for Hake'olawe and the debris, Kanapo and the debris from there. But whenever we're doing flights, we always coordinate or communicate, I should say, with PKO representatives to let them know helicopters are flying past and near the area of Hake'olawe and Oawavahie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, Dean. Mahalo.
Any other questions for Dean? Commissioners? Thank you, Dean. We appreciate it. Okay, thank you for all the updates today, Executive Director Naho'opi'i. We're gonna move on to the last couple items, which is the next meeting and follow-ups. A request was made to start looking at the long-range planning, so maybe have that on our radar for the next agenda. Also for the next agenda, will Commissioner Saito take the lead as Vice Chair, and she'll be running the meetings. I don't think there's anything else for today. If there's any other questions in the room, I don't see any, or online, you can ask now. Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and adjourn today's meeting, February 26th, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Thank you all
very much.
You have a date for the next meeting?
Aloha.
Mahalo. Thank you so much.
Mahalo nui.
Mahalo for sharing.
Yeah. We're gonna start polling the new chair when
Okay.
her availability is,
okay,
because she's
okay.
gonna try to,
Sure.
we're gonna try to get her physically